New protests erupt across the country. Frontline workers not being paid hazard pay by their employers, told to continue to work. Tough workplace environments, not getting hazard pay from the federal government, not getting hazard pay by Congress, not getting the $10,000, not seeing the Romney plan in the problem solvers bill, not getting a penny, but told to work as a frontline worker. Is enough enough? Now is the time to pass hazard pay. And this is Afternoons LALATE. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Afternoons LALATE. I'm here, you're here, your alpaca, your dog, your cat, your lobster, your dragon. We're all here on a day in which I thought of an interesting thing just minutes ago. If the airlines go bankrupt on October 1st, how are you going to get that $12 ice cream? Who's going to fly it in? And then if you're AOC in New York and you want that great pot bill stuff that comes from California, you're going to be really screwed. You're going to be left with all the junk from, like driven in from Jersey. Then, the real big one is Kentucky. You love lobsters and lobster bills, and you got to fly them in from Maine because there's no lobsters in Kentucky. There's just no water for that. So how are you going to get the lobsters from Maine when the airlines go bankrupt on October 1st? So you don't pass the stimulus, you don't get the lobsters, you don't get the airlines, and it's funny, isn't life how things start to turn around, hopefully. This is Afternoons LALATE, starting every day at 3:30 with a check and then hazard pay. This video with big developments about protests nationwide and the movement to get the $10,000 that is yours with that deadline looming of the airlines. If you've not subscribed to this channel, today is probably the day. Go to the front of this channel, subscribe. This is the best community online. You have to subscribe because we are giving you incredible details by the minute, by the hour of what's developing on second stimulus, from everything from check to hazard pay to FPUC to rent. Also like this video because this is going to be the best video that explains how you get lobsters in Kentucky. It's near the Derby, apparently they grow. I just don't know. Let's get right to the news. The news is protests across the country continue to erupt, as I predicted nearly several weeks ago. And the issue that they're protesting over is hazard pay. Hazard pay is one of those frontline worker big brawls between employees and employers who have not seen the money. The question as we sit here today is so obvious. You know what I'm about to ask. Are Americans next to protests over second stimulus? It has been the topic of discussions of the comments for this channel for a while. Should Americans be protesting Congress's inability to get second stimulus out? Well, they've been protesting the issue of hazard pay, and is stimulus checks itself the next topic of discussion? I'll be covering on this video two major protests that erupted overnight on hazard pay, and what you should envision next week about hazard pay. Finally, I'll be going over some incredible questions from yesterday's video. But first, let me get more into detail about what's unfolding. What's unfolding is a push to get the problem solvers bill to the finish line. And in the last 24 hours, continuing before this video and continuing after this video goes live, I will be tweeting 3 separate groups for you to retweet. The first one is the problem solvers. It's a smaller group of people. It's about 20 Twitter handles. When I say handles, it means accounts, 20 Twitter accounts. They will be in one set of tweets telling them we support your bill, problem solvers. The next group is the Blue Dogs, telling them we support the Blue Dogs. Please support the problem solvers bill. The Blue Dogs are about 10 or 15 people in that group. The last one is the New Democratic Coalition. They're big. They're about 200 to 300 people. So it's about 200 to 300 Twitter accounts. These are representatives. These are Democrats. They're in the House. And we have to tell them, support the problem solvers bill with revisions, or if you support the Temple of Doom's bill from next week, Nancy Pelosi's $2.4 trillion non-starter, you're gone. It's as simple as that. The message needs to get out very, very clear and loud that we have a path, and we have a path to get to the finish line, and someone's trying to derail it. For purposes of hazard pay, this is what's so important to understand. And you can certainly personalize this in every tweet or message you send elected officials. That hazard pay is not in the problem solvers bill because of Nancy Pelosi. The problem solvers went to meet with her. She would not discuss the situation with them, and they did not get into the final version of the bill. We want hazard pay in there. I think it should be the Romney plan. Why the Romney plan? Because it's the best plan. It's a plan that urges that you have employers required to apply to get hazard pay for you. They would have to get hazard pay for you whether you worked or now laid off. Let me go through all those scenarios because I get questions about this all the time. If you worked in the pandemic, you get hazard pay. If you worked but were laid off, you get it. If you worked but were fired, you get it. If you worked and you quit, you still get it. If you worked multiple jobs, you get all the jobs. If you were fired and then came back and laid off and then came back, sort of like Bobby Ewing on Dallas. He's dead, he's alive, he's dead. You would still get hazard pay. The type of employees that would get hazard pay, I've gone over this channel a lot, but let me just briefly say it. Everyone medical related, everyone transport related, cars, trucks, railroads, boats, all those people get hazard pay. Smaller transport, meaning private transport, cabs, taxis, Uber, Lyft, all those Grubhub, Ubers Eats, all those type of people get it. Then in the buildings, maintenance, security get it, and then the service industries, everything grocery, everything food, farmers, liquor stores, and all that type of stuff, grocery stores, all of you get hazard pay. So why aren't you getting it? It's really very unclear why, as we sit here in September, that hazard pay has been really the least discussed subject matter. As you know, I have recorded a hazard pay video every single day for upwards of now, what is it? 2 months, 3 months. I think we're at 200 something hazard pay videos. And how many times is Nancy Pelosi talking about hazard pay during that time? Once? How many times has the Republicans talked about hazard pay? Never. It's really quite confusing. Now, the president has talked about frontline workers and giving them money, but has not used the word hazard pay. And, I don't care what the word is so long as you get it. But this is the news today. There's another type of hazard pay. There's actually 2 other types of hazard pay, and one of the types is causing protests across the country. The question is whether these protests will grow to stimulus protests. A lot of the viewers, before I get to these protests, a lot of the viewers of this channel has said, you don't give a stimulus, we're protesting. The question is how close, or is that really the next step? Will Americans start protesting Congress if they don't see stimulus in their hands? It remains unclear for me personally why protests have not already started. I don't understand why, of all the things that could possibly be the subject of protests, there have been no protests about second stimulus. There's been no protests about stimulus. Multiple checks. You're entitled to multiple checks. You were to get multiple stimulus checks in the first stimulus package. A check every month for 4 or 5 months. It was in there. But what they did is they took it out. Why? They said, we'll get to it later in July. They didn't. They took a vacation. How about FPUC? You were supposed to have it, through this pandemic. What did they do? They had it expire when they were on vacation. They scheduled it to expire when they were on vacation. So as we sit here today, the protests are starting in one part of the second stimulus, not at the whole part, and that is hazard pay. First, The Charleston Gazette Mail details a new protest overnight. Dozens of nurses at Charleston Area Medical Center Health System took to protests regarding failure to pay hazard pay, from heroes to zeros. Where is our hazard pay? Say the signs. The signs actually say, where is our hazard pay? Support healthcare workers. Cars, ambulances, and more fire trucks honked in support. Quote, when I've heard what Ramsey said, it was like a betrayal. It was hurt. I felt not for the first time, but certainly the strongest. I felt disposable to them, like my contributions and sacrifices don't matter, said one nurse. I've been given 10, 11 years to this hospital. I love my job, and that's why I should show up every day. It's clear. These people don't care to love us back. Lord. They're not getting it from the patients. They're not getting it from the visitors because we're not allowing visitors. Many times I told our children the intent of their behavior and the effect of their behavior in two different things. The effect of my comments did offend some of you. My intent was to stress the community, the impact of the acceleration in the communities. I feel insecure and rehearsed. You basically get the feeling of what this protest says. It goes on and on and on. And what was the reaction? It was the same reaction that I've had on all my other protest videos. Every time I have a protest video, it's talking about hazard pay, money, M-O-N-E-Y. And the response is, well, we've done things to make our environment safe and keep it clean. That's not what they're protesting about. They're protesting about money. Well, here's the statement today about this protest. First and foremost, nothing more important than safety of our patients. We want to feel them supported and appreciated and dedicated to our patients. That doesn't answer the question. Where's their money? New Jersey, Hoboken. New Bergen Secaucus News talks about 100 central workers in a residential building went on strike on the 24th of September, which I guess was Thursday. This was workers in two buildings. They were part of the Service Employees Industries Union, and they asked for hazard pay of $2 an hour for an extra 14 hours, if I'm reading that right. We're taking the streets because Planned has yet to fail to respect the workers' right to organize free from retaliation. This is unconscionable at this time. Today I stand with you because of injustice. It's right to make people a decent wage. It's right to have medical care. We're standing here surrounded by high-rises buildings. Some of the wealthiest people in New Jersey live here, but they don't care about us. The message is very similar. And the message is these are people who worked during the pandemic and they're not being valued. They're not getting hazard pay. So as we sit here today, the focus really remains for hazard pay is the Problem Solvers bill. Pushing in favor of the problem solvers, pushing in favor of the Blue Dogs, pushing in favor of the New Democrat Coalition. You will see me on Twitter pushing them and saying, push and get the Problem Solvers bill finalized. Get it to a vote. Get it finalized. October 1st is our deadline. October 1st is a deadline. The question is whether Congress is sort of, my deadline is to go home for my vacation. So, see, it's unclear whether they're going to do that to us again. There's been a lot of deadlines for these people that they've sort of ignored. Remember the July deadline? At the time, I said, well, FPUC is expiring in July. Of course, you're going to fix it by the deadline. Oh, no, you just left. Remember the August 8th deadline? The August 8th deadline was when members of Congress were back in session for about 2 weeks. And I said, well, now is when you got to get your stimulus package done, because if you don't, we have to wait to September. Well, they left. But this one may be the one that is the different one. This is the one that the Republicans and the Democrats, the top negotiators on both sides, have said October 1st is a deadline. Airlines. Yeah, airlines. Now, airlines have a value, and I understand you may not be in the airline, and you may not see the value of helping people where they're asking you $600 to fly a round trip on a flight that was only $150 on a different week. But airlines represent a big part of the U.S. economy, and a crash and a burn and a bankruptcy of major airlines will cause a major hit on the U.S. economy. I'm not going to say crash the U.S. economy, but it's going to cause a major hit. And that's what's going to happen on October 1st. They're going to go bankrupt, or something like that's going to happen. They're going to lay off tens of thousands of employees. And what I'm not detailing in this video, because it's a little bit too elaborate to explain in one video, is that a lot of industries that support airlines, like the parts and the materials and the manufacturing, they have all now warned that they're going to lay off tens and hundreds of thousands of employees if that thing happens on October 1st. Well, let's get to the finish line, folks. We're almost there. I mean, we're almost there. We understand there's an October 1st deadline. How important is this for us? It shows a real tight, constricted period to get things done. Let me tell you how tight this period is. October 1st means the president would have to sign October 1st. That would mean September 30th, it would have to be signed by the House, and September 30th, it would have to be signed by the House. September 29th, it would have to be done by the Senate. When I mean signed, I mean approved by the Senate. That's just around the corner. Now, things can be done quickly. Things can be done quickly. We've been talking about these bills for a while. We all know what needs to get done. Why is October 1st such a big deadline? Well, they're set to leave town, because they've only worked 2 weeks. So, that's too much. Exhausted. 2 weeks of work. How's Club Med? Book me on Club Med. They're ready to leave. They're ready to go back to their constituency to get reelected because of all the stimulus they gave them. And so they're ready to leave town. I don't know how. Some people came out asking me, what airlines are they going to fly on? Because they're all going to be gone on October 1st. Well, they're taking ice cream trucks home. They're riding They're riding lobsters, through the water. I don't know. They're walking. It'd be nice if Nancy sort of walks from D.C. to San Francisco. See her in like a few years from now. They literally are about to skip town. So I love that expression. The senators are about to skip town. So they need to get this done. There's a very, very short period of time. And when do they come back? November. Yeah, so they need to get this done now. They absolutely categorically need to get this done now. Well, are you going to have us wait till November? Now, understand, every time that we talk about routing times for checks, those take time as well. So if we got this by law on October 1st, well, under Steve Mnuchin's representations, you would add 10 days after that. That would be about October 11th, October 12th to get stimulus checks in your hand, and things like that. Now, if we delay this longer, we keep on getting longer and longer and longer. Hazard pay would take longer for you to get. I've said that 1,000 times. I got to make it very clear again. You're not getting $10,000 in your bank account on October 1st. I always get those questions. Am I getting $10,000 on October 1st? Am I getting $10,000 next week in my bank account? Yeah, maybe go to the casino. I just know, not from this channel you're not. Maybe there's another channel that gets you $10,000 tomorrow. But no, hazard pay is not paying you $10,000 tomorrow. But how fast would hazard pay you? Well, it could pay you pretty fast, so we got this done. Let me answer some of your 900 questions from yesterday's video. I'm awake. This stimulus check won't be stimulating nothing at $1,200. Amen. Lori Foster. We need to clean up the criminals in office. Dominic Dupree. Republicans and Democrats are fighting for each other. Who else? Stop talking about the money and send it. Always watch this channel for updates. Heart. I love you, Dominic. Thank you so much. Sylvia Fava, our lives are being ruined by totally stupid people. They need to go now. Amen. Marta Sanchez, why do they even allow her to introduce her bills if they know they're going to not pass? This lady has really lost all her marbles. She's really crazy. I mean, when Jim Cramer referred to her as Crazy Nancy on air while interviewing her, I don't think it was a Freudian slip. I mean, it's really crazy. She's doing exactly what people have told her not to do for something that's exactly going to get her rejected, and then she's going to say, so come back to negotiate with me exactly what you've said no to for 5 months. I just don't know. Walter Ross, still looking and feeling sad. Ed Parsons, she's trying to get bills passed where she can get money out of it, and that's all she's doing. Kay Raster, sir, I'm so disgusted and disheartened, whatever you want to call it. They have plenty of ample opportunity to help American citizens, but yet Nancy Pelosi refuses to do it. Amen. Sharon McDaniel, they will probably give money to us Americans as they want. Just let us starve and live in tents and cars. Tammy Rogers, I think Americans already know this, but if everyone comes together, let's vote them all out. Amen. Ricky Riddle, and I want to make something very clear about that last comment. You all have to stay together, get these people out of office. We all have to stay together, get people out of this office. No matter what happens, this has not been a service to the American people. These people have to go. Jessica Hester, It's time for Nancy to get her walking papers and walking shoes. Danita Cook, the scandalous letter sent to Nancy to bypass her. What happened to it? Are they going to pass her? Why are they still listening to her advice? Didn't they kick her to the curb so the problem solvers can be voted on? That's the purpose of us, is to tell the people who wrote that letter, we support you. Now stay on focus with the letter. Don't just sort of roll over. You write a tough letter, and then you're like, I love you, let me braid your hair. No. Stay on focus. Do exactly what your letter said. Sharon Clark, I for a fact have no money and will probably play Stanley at the polls to get these jokers out. We need our money now. Mariah Packer, ice cream workers write the most selfish bills. She's definitely cold-hearted. Oh my goodness. Diane Rich, Democrats and Republicans need to be voted out. Susan Smith, but guess what? Election's November. Carlita, I'm ready for Drain the Swamp. They haven't done their job. They all need to be fired. Amen. If you've not gone to this channel and subscribe, please do. You can see how everyone in the comments are thinking the same way. Everyone really is focused the same way on this channel. It's an incredible community of people that really are trying to get to the finish line together to help one another. That's the spirit of this channel. So go to the French channel, subscribe. Also, like this video because this is the damn best video you'll have today on hazard pay, and probably the only video that anyone's going to record about hazard pay. Coming up next is unemployment benefits. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, stay focused, and stay LA for more.